Hello everyone, my name is Chris Birch and I'm a student at BYU Independent Study, and I have been asked to talk about mitosis and meiosis, and we are going to talk about them. So, what makes these both unique and how they affect our body? Let's start with meiosis and how it affects the body and ultimately us. Meiosis is a process used to describe the breaking up of chromosomes to form the male sex cell's sperm and the eggs for the female. In order for a child to receive the required genes of his or her parents, they have to be split in half in order for the child to receive the proper genes inherited by him or her parents. Right here, we are going to talk about the stages of meiosis. So in prophase 1, the chromosomes within the cell now start to constrict. Here you can see the tiny ropes or strings that form carefully and slowly, which is important to both the stages of mitosis and meiosis. So between the chromatids, which can be seen there, chiasmata forms. So in the next stage of meiosis, metaphase 1, the chromosomes line up, but with the help of the spindles, which were mentioned previously. So right here, you can see that in anaphase, that they are pulled apart. So the spindles right here have now fully torn apart the chromosomes that had aligned from the earlier steps. So what doesn't change are the chromatids, which can be seen here. So we are next going to discuss about telophase 1 and cytokinesis, where the chromatids told from the previous fifth step begin to change drastically. They are now starting to split apart and to become two haploid cells, and what is called an envelope forms around the nucleus of the cells. This step is called telophase 1 and cytokinesis. In the seventh step, on the next step, prophase 2, the cells are now fully divided, and the same spindle that had helped with the previous steps of meiosis now comes into action again to divide the chromatids. And so, right here in metaphase 2, this is where the same procedure that was done in the first metaphase is again repeated, and the chromatids, not the chromosomes, are the ones that line up. And so right here you can see in anaphase 2 where the chromatids are separated by the spindles, which were important to the process. So we have now arrived at the final stage of meiosis. So the final stage is telophase 2 in cytokinesis, where chromosomes finally come into place but do not play a role in this process, not until the cycle is repeated. Now instead of 2 haploid cells, we now have 4. This is meiosis, the process of when one cell divides to contain 50% of genetic information, which ultimately produces the sex cells for the female, the egg, and the sex cell for the male, the sperm. Now, let's talk about mitosis, the next topic we are going to discuss. Mitosis is the process of replacing cells that have been damaged or can't function anymore and to enable growth. Mitosis is similar to meiosis in terms of starting phases, but it differs on the number of steps since mitosis steps are shorter compared to meiosis. The beginning step of mitosis is the same first step of meiosis, interphase. So, interphase, as you can see right here, interphase with mitosis begins with the duplication of the cell's DNA to divide cells. The spindles, which were talked about earlier on in this video, are vital here again. They are to be discussed in the next step more clearly. Now in phase 2 of mitosis, the chromosomes seen here in this bubble that surrounds them, they start to come together. By doing this, they are also entirely composed of chromatids for the genetic information. In prophase, as you can see right here, the bubble around it, which is cited as the membrane, disappears and the chromosomes right here are released. The important spindles in this stage of mitosis, now start to take place in this process, which is called prometaphase, which, as they begin to go from one side of the cell and the other on the other side of the cell, the spindles latch onto the chromosomes, as seen here. So in the next stage of mitosis, the chromosomes are arranged in a single file straight, and then the spindles latch onto the chromatids. So in anaphase, the chromatids are pulled apart exactly like in mitosis, with the cells slowly starting to split, and this leaves way for the sixth phase I'm going to discuss, which is the last phase of mitosis. So the final stage of mitosis is telophase and cytokinesis. This process involves how the membrane that encircled the chromosomes that was created, and now we have two cells, which is why the step of mitosis is called cytokinesis, due to the fact that it splits at this phase to form two identical cells. With all steps properly stated and informed, this concludes how mitosis and meiosis works. So, mitosis and meiosis may sound familiar in terms of how the steps are done for both processes, like anaphase and metaphase, because both have these steps and how they perform is exactly the same. The only reason they are different is due to the fact that meiosis is for the development of the sex cells, while mitosis is the development of cells that have been damaged in a wound or cut, etc. So now that we have talked about how mitosis and meiosis function, what if they don't function as intended? So let's say, what if something in the procedure goes terribly wrong? Let's talk about it. So if mitosis goes wrong, this can lead to something catastrophic, DNA damage, which is why these things, if they spiral out of control, the results can forever change you as a human being. If meiosis goes out of control, the unexpected can also happen. There can be either more chromosomes or less chromosomes. This genetic disorder usually takes place if the mother during her pregnancy takes things like drugs or certain diseases come into contact with her, which can cause birth defects. It's usually during pregnancy only that if these are taken, these are what can cause the birth defects. So with that said, what do they actually mean for the body? We know how they work, yes, and what can happen if they go wrong, but what purpose do they serve? Well, meiosis is when a cell divides itself with half of the genetic information, which becomes sperm for the male and egg for the females. For mitosis, it's the purpose of a cell division, like replacing the destroyed cells from a wound or cut with the new ones, which explains how we heal after a wound. So, with that all said and done, mitosis and meiosis are very important to the development of the body, and without them, we would be very different. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to be with you again someday. This is it for today, and see you later.